Hi, shares and dividends, a topic of class 10 ICSE, is what we're going to look up in this lecture. We will be actually looking up what shares are, where do they go, how their prices get increased, and how is it that people get dividends by having certain shares. Now, we'll also be looking up the different terms and terminologies which are used along with shares and the share market. They are pretty intriguing because there is a lot of ambiguity in understanding actually what the person wants to say and what he has to say, because it has to be more symbolic so that only the person whom the person wants to say in the share market should be able to understand. Others obviously should be left blank. Well, all of this we're going to discuss, and I'll make sure that you understand shares and dividends really well. Okay, so let's get started with what actually shares are. So there might be a big company, but you know that big company wasn't always very big, right? They also required some finance to be able to make that big company, and that is when the company owners, they went to certain people who were their friends, acquaintances, or probably relatives, and they accumulated that amount of money with which they could have started this company. Now, every person who has submitted a specific amount of money, as that person could have, right, they actually get some shares corresponding to the amount that they have actually given to the company, right? So this is what actually shares are, and thus in layman language we can say that it's actually your share in a specific company, right? Okay, now what are dividends? Dividends are actually the annual returns that these companies give to their shareholders, right? They can even be semi-annual or they can even be quarterly. Normally we talk about annual dividends. Now, corresponding to all of this, there are a few formulae, right? As you must have looked up in this corresponding shot, we looked up the formula of how to find out the income, right? Now, in order to find out the income, children, there are a few terms that you should be knowing. Whenever we talk about a company to be having certain shares, whatever is the price of the shares before the company even started, that is known as the nominal value, right? What is it known as? Repeat with me. It is known as the nominal value, right? Here I'll abbreviate it to be NV, right? Now, children, after this, we now next have some shares which will be bought of a specific company. So next, now we'll be talking about number of shares, right? And let's abbreviate this to be NOS, right? So these are my generated abbreviations. Do not use this in an examination, or probably then what will happen is you will be losing marks. Okay, so now, children, comes the next term. So what's the next term? The next term is, if say we talk about the total nominal value. I'm sure very easily you can understand this, that what this can be. That is, it is going to be the nominal value which is going to be multiplied with the number of shares, and if you do so, you will get the total nominal value. Now, how do we find out the dividend? The dividend, which is also known as the income, the profit, right, is given by this formula. Dividend, right, is equal to total nominal value that we just found out, right? This is another abbreviation that I've used here for the total nominal value, that is TNV, right? Again, this is my generated abbreviation, so you do not use it, right? Now, children, after this we will be talking about the formula which is going to give us the dividend, and that actually is dividend is equal to total nominal value into rate percent, which is going to be divided by 100, right? So there is actually a rate percent, like say 12%. So at this percentage on the total nominal value, the company which has shares, right, gives income or dividend, right? Normally this is annual unless and until it is given to you in the question. right? So this is the formula and the basic concept which is involved with all of this. So I'll just quickly repeat all of this. Now the first thing that I told you people was this, that if suppose we talk about a company which has some shares, it's actually the share of the money which it has taken from some holders. As such, there are some shareholders who have deposited some sum of money, or in other words some amount of money, to a company, so the company can run further or probably can start running, right? And then what happens is, as the company starts running, right, then in times to come the company wants to give some income or dividend to the shareholders, and that is normally an yearly income, right? Now what happens in the yearly income is this, that the company now starts giving this income by talking about first the nominal value, that is whatever was the value of the shares before the company started doing business, because after the company started doing business it could have gone into profits, where now the nominal value will go to a higher value. If it does no profit and no loss, then obviously it will remain to be the same as the nominal value, and if it goes in losses, then the nominal value will now have a lesser value. That means the value of the shares will become lesser than the nominal value, right? So under such conditions, whenever we talk about the nominal value, it is actually the value of the shares which was before the company started, right? And this normally we abbreviate as NV. Now next we talk about the number of shares. So obviously there will be a specific number of shares that a person has bought, right? And that actually is the number of shares. Now if we are to multiply the total nominal value, that is TNV, right, then that will become equal to the nominal value when multiplied with the number of shares is going to give you the total nominal value, which, like I told you, is abbreviated to be TNV. Now in order to get to the dividend, which is normally annual, you have to multiply this total nominal value with the rate percent divided by 100. Now children, whenever we talk about this rate percent, this is actually a annual rate percent, right? It can be something like, say, some 12%, some 15%, or anything like that. Okay, now with all of this theory, we ought to do some sum so that you will be able to understand this concept and you'll be able to do sums with this concept. So let's get to it. Now children, this is a sum before you. I'd like you people to initially give it a try. I will just be giving you some 10 seconds. I can't give you much because I have limited time, although you can pause the lecture for a longer duration of time and give it a good try with a arduous amount of effort. So giving you people 10 seconds for trial, after which I'll be discussing the sum. Right. So children, let me discuss the sum, and I am considering this that all the data which was given to you as formulae, you have written them in your copy and you've learnt it, and you also written it again so that that stays with you for a long duration of time. Now children, coming to this sum, we've been given here that there is one Miss Amy, right, and she's bought some 500 BBC, that is British Broadcasting Company, the media company, shares at a face value of $10, right? She received $400 as the yearly dividend. At what rate percent did Amy receive the income? Okay, when we talk about this, children, don't you see that this is actually when we want to find out the income, right? So the formula which is going to be used will be that of the income or the dividend, right? So first, before doing anything else, we are quickly going to write down what the formula was, right? So here now in our answer, the first thing that we're going to do is we will talk about the formula, that is the income, which is also, children, known as the dividend, right, is going to be equal to how much? Come on, tell with me. That is very correct, and I hope you are not looking at the copy and telling me. So that is equal to the total nominal value, and it is going to be multiplied with the rate percent, and when it is divided by 100, this actually is going to give you the income. So here, children, our task first is to find out the nominal value so that we can get to the total nominal value. Now to get to it, first we talk about the nominal value, which in the question, children, has been given to us to be $10, as face value is the same as the nominal value. That means the value with which the shares started right before the company went into business. Obviously later, like I told you, they can either increase, decrease, or remain to be the same. So the nominal value, children, has been given to you to be $10, so we'll take it to be 10. Next, now we've been told that $400 is the yearly dividend. So here we've been given the income, and we can just abbreviate it as INC, and here, children, we're going to write this to be 400. Okay, after this, children, we've been told here that at what rate percent did AMI receive the income. So we do not know what R is, right? So this is something that we've got to find out, again using the same formula. So let us keep those values that we already have and try and find out an equation where the unknown is made the subject of the equation. So here for that, what we do is we now get to finding out the value of this. Now here we have the income, so in the above formula we will substitute. Now for the income we have $400, and on the right hand side here we'll talk about the total nominal value, which will become equal to the nominal value, right? And we have also been told that the number of shares is 500. Remember, Miss Amy bought 500 BBC shares. So again, this is something that we're going to write here. That is, if you talk about the number of shares that has been given to us to be 500. Now this 500, when it gets multiplied with 10, which is the nominal value, will give you the total nominal value, right? So for the multiplying 10 with 500, so children, this becomes the total nominal value, and when you multiply this with the rate percent, that should give you the income. And here, as we already have the income, so our task is just to find out the value of R by making it the subject of the equation. Now here, children, there are certain calculations which can be done where you get to see that some terms are there which can very easily get cancelled, like 2 powers of 10 from the numerator and from the denominator, right? Then here we'll make R the subject of the equation, and we'll take the other terms to the other side. As such, R is going to become equal to 400, as we already have it on the left hand side, and with that is going to be divided 10 and also 5 in the denominator, and that makes R the subject of the equation. Now we know that if we cancel this 5, we know that 5 eighths is 40, right? And then further we have 1 0 which can be written to be as it is. As such, 80 now comes to be the quotient. Now this 0 can be cancelled off with this 0, as they are both powers of 10, right? So as such, now we are just left out with the rate percent to be 8%, and that, children, is going to become our final answer, right? As simple as that. So I'll just quickly discuss this all over so that if you have any doubt anywhere, you can really understand that, removing all your ambiguities. In the question, children, you've been given here that there is one Miss Amy who bought 500 BBC shares, that is a media company shares, at a face value of $10. That means she has bought these shares when the company got floated, right? And at that time the share value is obviously known as the nominal value, which has another synonym to be the face value, and that is $10, right? Now she received an income of $400, right? And as such, the income has been given to you to be 400. The nominal value has been given to you to be 10, that is $10, right? Remember, all of this are in dollars. And then further, you've been told that as the number of shares was 500, so that's why you will write the number of shares, NOS, to be 500, right? And now you have to find out the rate percent at which Amy bought these shares. So children, here what we do is we just use the formula that we know for finding out the dividend, that is income or dividend is given by total nominal value multiplied by rate percent divided by 100. Now further here what you do is, if you write the income, that is 400, it will be equal to 10, right, which is the nominal value to be multiplied with the number of shares, that is 500. So this gives you TNV, right? Now children, after we've got this TNV, I'll just mark it to be TNV so that this doesn't confuse you. This here, children, we found out the TNV, right? That is the total nominal value. Now after we've got the total nominal value, we further multiply it by the rate percent, which is not known, divided by 100. Now we have 2 powers of 10 which will get cancelled from the numerator and from the denominator, and then if we make r the subject of the equation, which is the only unknown in this equation, then we will get to the final answer. So as such, r will become equal to all the other terms taken to the other side. Now here we have 10 and 5 which require to be taken to the left hand side. As such, if we write it to be 400 divided by 5 into 10, then that should give us the final answer, that is the value of r. Now 5 cancels 48 times, right? And then we just carry forward this 0. Now this 80 can be written to be 8 when it is divided by 10, as 1 power of 10 will again get cancelled from the numerator and from the denominator. So the final answer, that is the rate percent at which Amy was paid $400 after a year, has been found out to be 8%. So is all of this clear? For sure. Now if you've been here till the end of this lecture, I think you should be rewarded. You've done a big job and you're just trying to decrease the load of mathematics that is there with you. And I am always there with you. I'll tell you a few things which is really going to help you. The first thing is this, that I'm sure you people must have first seen the short which is there in the Instagram, and then you have been able to come to this longer lecture. Alright? So corresponding to a short, that is a formula or a concept, I have a longer lecture which I call a long, right? And if you talk about both of these taken together, your formula as well as what type of sums come in it will be very well done. As such, you will gradually prepare yourselves for the examination. Now the next thing, children, is if suppose you missed out the shot there in the Instagram, obviously you can go to the Instagram, the same name, the mathematics helpline, and search for the shot. If not, there will be another link in the description which will again take you to the same shot, but now in YouTube, right? So that will be easy for you to look it up. Then after that, children, the next thing is that here I will be providing you a link in the description which will take you to the rest of the lectures, that is the further shorts and longs, which will make you strong in this topic, right? Now if you really want to fast track your studies, right, because there's a lot to do in very little time, because when you've done it in very little time, so there will be multiple revisions that you can do. So in order to fast track your journey in making mathematics your strong subject, you can look up a form which is there in the description of my channel, right? You'll just get it at the top of my channel, right? And the cursor is going to go to it and you will see that it is clickable. So there are 3-4 links. There's a form link. Just fill up the form and let me know which is the topic, right, where you want more strength. And then after filling up the particulars, you will see me putting you in a one-to-one call and checking out what your problem is and helping you such that you will be fully helped. So help yourself, and the earlier you help yourself, the better marks you will get, because more than you will have time for revision and more time you will have for asking other difficulties, right? So make yourself a specialist in mathematics. I'm there with you in your journey, right? That is a journey from education to employment, right? Because tomorrow you want to get yourself employed on the best of the place, right? So bye, children. Do stay in touch and keep learning more. Bye.